What's going on, YouTube? Today we're talking about the Canon 28mm. Let's jump right in. So welcome back, guys. On this episode, we're talking about the Canon 28mm f1.8. Now, this isn't a new lens. This is nothing new. It was released when I was doing my research. It was released in September 1995, so almost as old as me, which is crazy, but nothing new. Definitely not a new lens for the Canon mount, but it's something I wanted to do a review on because it's a different focal length. I think you can pick it up for a good price used, and it's pretty versatile. It's pretty good. So let's just jump right into why I think it's a good lens that maybe you should look into picking up, you know? So one of the key features about the Canon 28mm that makes it great is the fact that it's a fast aperture of 1.8. Now, Canon already has a lens out there that is a 28mm f2.8. So this is kind of battling with that. Now, a couple of things that I think this is better than that is the fact that it is a 1.8, so you get that shallower depth of field. You can use it in darker situations and keep your ISO low because of the 1.8. But on top of that, it comes with an ultrasonic motor, the USM motor, and that's what that the band around the side of it is, that bronze colored band around it. That's what that's known for. Now, the ultrasonic motor is great for videographers because it's supposed to be a silent shooting motor. I found this one to make quite a little bit of noise. Luckily, most of the shooting I do, it's voiceover or the fact that I'm usually putting a music track behind it. So me picking that up in the microphone isn't detrimental. And on top of that, I usually shoot in manual. Again, this is me personally. I just want to let it be known that it isn't completely silent. It does make a slight noise. But that being said, it's pretty fast. For being, 25 years old now? 1995, 2020. Yeah, so 25 years old. It's pretty quick. It snaps to focus. I shot with it on the Canon 5D Mark I, which is again an old classic camera for DSLRs, and it was snapping to focus very quickly. I didn't have any issues with focus, and the quality out of this lens really impressed me, and enough to want to do a review on it. So that's why we're here. So another key thing about it, though, is if you're not shooting on a full frame and you're shooting on a crop sensor, I have a Canon 60D behind me, it makes it a 45mm equivalent because of the crop sensor, so it crops in a little bit, and 45mm is actually a great focal length for crop sensors, and you still have that 1.8 aperture, which is pretty clutch for crop sensors. So you kind of get that nice balance, and I like that because I like shooting on both these cameras. So to have a lens that I can shoot wide with it, but also I can shoot like a nice 45mm equivalent on the crop sensor, it makes it pretty versatile. And again, the 28mm is a good length for even the full frames because it's right at that point where it's not rounding the edges of your photo. You're getting a nice clean looking photo without that warpedness to it, which I like, because sometimes 24 might be too much for some people, and you might get that warping on it, and it might be too much. You might not like that. In a second, I'm going to show a video that I took from Louisville, Kentucky that I just got back from a shoot, and you'll actually get to see these photos, so stick around for that, and you'll see it in real time of what this thing's able to do, and you can kind of see if it is a focal length, or even just in general the quality of the image. You can be the judge if you actually like that. The last point I want to make about this lens before we start diving into the actual samples of it, and I show you that, is you can find these used for about $200 to $300 is what I'm seeing. I picked up this one for $220, I want to say. I definitely got my money's worth, and on top of that, $220 for a killer lens, a wide angle 1.8 with great sharpness, fast focusing, ultrasonic motor. It was a no-brainer for me, and that's why I wanted to kind of bring it up to you guys. And to rethink about it in 2020, it's a different focal length. Not everyone's shooting at 28, and I kind of like that. Everyone's shooting at 24. Everyone's shooting at 35. So if you have this in between, it's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. A little bit wider than a 35, but a little bit tighter than a 24, so it doesn't round off as hard. I think it's a sweet spot. And again, the crop sensor 45-50 is like a go-to for people, me included. It's a great focal length. So you get the best of both worlds, whether you're on a full frame or a crop sensor. Again, something to think about. That's my whole goal here. is just to make you think about these lenses and just kind of just do some research, you know. All right, so now we're gonna dive into the video. All I did was I slapped a GoPro on this camera right here, the Canon 5D Classic, with this lens, and hopefully you don't get too dizzy. I tried to. It has the hyper smooth in the GoPro, but I tried to, like, when it turns sideways, I cropped it so it's not. You'll see. Okay, welcome to the top of my camera. I had an off day because one of my appointments canceled this day, so I got to walk around downtown Louisville and take some photos. These are the photos straight out of the camera. The only editing I did to only a couple of them was a contrast adjust and exposure adjustment. This is because I like to shoot a stop or two darker in manual mode to preserve my highlights if needed. Everything else you see, just like this photo right here, is straight out of the camera, not touched whatsoever. Alright, so back to talking about the actual lens. Most of these photos I actually shot at 2.8 because I found that to be a sweet spot. Like this photo right here, this was shot at 2.8, and I think that's like the perfect depth of field that I want. It's awesome that it goes all the way down to 1.8, and there are a couple photos in here that I did take at 1.8, but for the most part 2.8 just seems to be the right amount of sharpness and that depth of field that I was still able to get. Just like this example again, 2.8. I just think it's the perfect amount of sharpness all around the image, and I still get that blur that I want. Again, 2.8, didn't even touch the settings because why would I? I think it looked good just as is right there. Right here is when I saw the shot that I wanted to take, but there was actually a person at the end there who was another photographer, and I was debating whether to actually go up to them and talk to them, but I wanted to leave this in here because I find it's important to get out of your comfort zone. I usually wouldn't go up to a random person to ask if I can take their photo just for myself, but the end result is you actually get to meet some cool people and you also get some cool photos out of it, and so do they. So I recommend at least just giving it a shot. I know it's not easy for everyone to just go up to random people and take photos, so that's kind of why I wanted to leave this in here. But again, back to the 28mm, I just find this focal length to be so pleasing to the eye and just kind of just different from a 24 or what a 35 would be. So I found this actually cool flower shop, and I ended up just walking around taking some photos in here. A little tip is to send these photos to the actual business, in this case the flower shop. They get some cool photos, and now they know of a cool photographer if you're ever around, and also you get some cool photos for yourself and your portfolio. But in here I stuck with 1.8 as my aperture. I needed the extra low light capabilities that this lens offers because it was darker in there, but also you kind of got some more shallower depth of field shots that made it a little bit more artsy in my opinion. For example, this photo right here, I like it at 1.8, and the 5D colors just make it look so good. If you guys are interested in the 5D Classic, I already did a review on it for 2020. I'll link that in the description. Definitely check that out because this camera is still a beast in 2020 in my opinion. Again, another photo at 1.8. Having a good time with it now at this point. Just kind of looking around trying to find some cool flowers and whatnot. I kind of dug this photo because of the garage right there with that light shining in right here. So you kind of get that dramatic contrast effect. This lens allows you to get so close to your subject and still keep it in focus. So again, you get that more dramatic of a shot. I don't get to do a lot of street photography, if you would consider that this. And a 28 really wouldn't be a go-to for a lot of people. But that's why I think it's cool, because again, it's different and you still get some really cool shots. I found this door right in the corner of this store, and I thought it was really cool. So I was trying to have the fire alarm was out of the photo, so there it is right there. And the 28 just does such a good job of keeping both the top and the bottom of the door in frame, but also keeping the lines of the door straight and not warping them. And this is the last photo. Alright guys, so that was something different. I haven't done that before. I hope you guys liked that. If you're interested in the Canon 5D Classic, I already put out a video about it for 2020. Maybe check out this camera. It's kind of, I don't think it gets enough credit in 2020. I think it's overlooked. I think a lot of mirrorless is what people are talking about. I mean, it's kind of the hot commodity right now, but don't let this camera fool you. I think those photos can kind of stand for themselves. Just walking around streets of Louisville and getting some killer photos with this camera is awesome. And again, this lens too, even older than this camera, and this lens is killer, I feel. Just again, something to think about. That's my whole point here, is just kind of get you guys thinking about different things. I'm trying not to be biased on my reviews. It's hard because you get excited about your own gear. You know, that's why you bought it. But I'm trying to kind of keep it even, and I'm just trying to get some conversation going about it. So if you guys like that, if you guys like these videos, I have a bunch more videos coming. Check out some of my other videos. Again, my name's Garrity. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos in the future, guys. All right, thank you.